WebEx, as well as an account manager here in the room that wants to, and has graciously accepted sharing their story and really how they became part of the Cisco family, what their background is, how they balance work and life, what type of education courses that they took to actually get here. So I'm going to do introductions. We have Alexa Trifilio, who's on the phone, who's going to show us, it looks like a little bit of a presentation. And she is a collaboration consulting systems engineer, and she's based out of Wisconsin and covers the New York territory. Gina Pirtle is in Herndon, Virginia, and she works in the education field. We're going to have Marie Zwicker joining us, business development manager. Kelly LaCrosse will come into the room. She has a meeting until about 10:30. She's a strategic product sales specialist. And I'm not sure if Sybil will be able to make it. She has another speaking engagement today. And we have Chelsea Talbot back here. She's an account manager, and you went through the sales organization. Yes. I'd love for you to reflect on that. I think it's a great program. So if you don't mind, we're going to go ahead and start with Alexa. Alexa, can you hear me okay?
Yep, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. All right, so you
Great.
have the floor.
Great. How is everybody today?
Great.
Good, an active group, we like that. So I just want to, quickly go over my background, talk a little bit about what it's like to work for Cisco, and how I got involved, because it was totally not my life plan to end up here. So I graduated from, actually, Cleveland Regional High School, which is in central Massachusetts. I'm not going to tell you how long ago, but not that long ago. Then I went to the University of Rhode Island, where I did my degree in biomedical engineering. So I was there for 4 years. And then I, graduated and went to get a job, and the economy was just about as bad as it is today, so I decided to go back to school some more. So I went and got my master's in electrical engineering at Cornell in New York. And thankfully, by the time I finished there, people were starting to hire a little bit. So I interviewed with lots and lots of different companies, right, from traditional, engineering lab work, from the Googles of the world, I was interviewing for positions that were engineering type positions, and, I sort of had an aha moment one day and went, wow, I really don't want to work in a lab somewhere where I'm never going to see the light of day and never get to talk to anybody, right? So I really struggled with where I wanted to work, right? I had spent all this time in school, I had taken all of these courses, right, electrical engineering, biomedical engineering, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. Until somebody from Cisco showed up on campus to do interviews. And they were actually interviewing for, product development type positions, but the person who was interviewing was actually a systems engineer, right? So we got to talking, and he told me a lot about his position, which sort of ended up being exactly what I was looking for, right? The best of both worlds. The position where I get to play with all the cool new technology, and I get to be technical, and I get to use my background, but I also get to work with people, right? Working for Cisco means that you're in front of people all the time, so I get to use some of those skills as well, right? I like people. I like being in front of them, and in my job as a systems engineer, I'm not stuck just working with the technology, right? I have to be able to present that technology to people and make them want to use it, right? Be able to show them the business need for working with the technology. So it really is the best of both worlds, right? You get to be technical, you get to play with all the cool new toys, but you also have to be in front of people, and you get to interact on a daily basis, okay? So Cisco hired me, and I was actually in something called the Systems Engineering Program, okay? So they moved me to North Carolina for a year in the ASC program, and it was essentially a year of, really, really intense training on everything Cisco, because I didn't have a Cisco background, right? You guys probably know more about Cisco now than I did when I started with the company. I had no background in IT at all. So for a year, we essentially studied, right? We took all of our certifications, we got sales training. It was pretty intense. And it's something that Cisco still does today, though I think it's out in San Jose, not in North Carolina anymore, so you get a little bit better weather. But it was a great introduction into Cisco and into the world, right? Cisco is very big on continued education, right? You never feel like you're sort of out there on your own, and learning new things is all up to you. There's lots of opportunity in my daily life to do that. So I was there for a year, And I was there with 25 other people, which was a great support system, right, as you're entering a new job, right, the real world for the first time. And then they moved us all over the country. So I ended up in Wisconsin, right, and I'm from Massachusetts, you know, ended up way out here. And it's been great. I worked as a systems engineer here on the Wisconsin team for about 5 years. And then my family, for personal reasons, we decided we wanted to move back a little bit closer to our family. So I transitioned into my current role as a UC consulting systems engineer. We're going to be moving to the New York metro area so that I can cover the East Coast here pretty soon. So there are lots of opportunities for development within Cisco, right? I've bounced around a little bit from position to position to keep it fresh, right? To always learn something new. And currently I'm working towards my MBA, which is another great factor of working for Cisco. They pay for that, right? So I don't have to pay for that. They do it for me. And I get, you know, time from my management team to work towards that career goal.
So Alexa, I see that you have the Quabbin Regional up there. I actually live out near Petersham in Athol.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm very familiar with that school.
Yeah, I figured, you know, I don't get to often talk to people from, you know, where I grew up, so I figured I'd throw that in there. So what's my role, really, right? I mean, there's lots of different products and things at Cisco. Sometimes it can be pretty overwhelming. So specifically my role is Unified Solutions Communications Technical Sales, okay? So I sell our entire product line. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with some of these products, right? But everything from phones and the switches the phones plug into all the way up to WebEx, which is the platform that we're using today, which is really much more user-facing, right? So on any given day, I can be talking to and giving a demo to a marketing department, right, who has no technical background whatsoever, showing them the user interfaces of our products. You know, my next phone call can be about bits and bytes and packets with a very, very technical IT specialist. So it really does run the gamut, you know, which keeps you on your toes. But really, my job is all about having first dibs on all the cool toys, right? It's about having access to, you know, whether it's telepresence and video. I mean, you know, I'm going to move my camera here so you guys can see what my office looks like a little bit, you know, but I've got the newest video phone sitting here on my desk, right, and I've got the big screen video unit here that I can talk into because I'm 100% virtual. So it's really all about having cool toys and being able to make the business case for those toys in our customers, right? So I essentially do discovery, demos, and architectures, right? I need to be able to dig through my customers' needs and find out what it is that they're looking for. I need to be able to show it to them, right? Which means that I've got to be using it in my everyday life. And I've got to be able to architect what that's going to look like in their environment. So from, you know, not so technical discovery down to nitty gritty, what's this exactly going to look like in your environment? Like I said, I am 100% virtual. Once we move to the East Coast, I won't be quite 100% virtual, but it is. We live in a very virtual world, right? I mean, I've got customers from Maine down to Virginia and everything in between, right? There's no way that I can be physically in front of them. So we really take advantage of our own technology to reach our customers. So typically my day is 8 to 10 conference calls, usually just like this, sometimes just audio. Sometimes I'll go into my local office and we'll do telepresence calls. And it's really about interacting with customers and making the most of it over the technologies that we sell. Using the technology is the best demo available, right? I can be talking to a customer about polar bears. As long as I'm using WebEx, right, they're seeing it and they get to be immersed in it and they don't really know that I'm doing a demo for them. But I also have to take time each day for personal growth. And Cisco is really into letting everybody do this. Between webinars and on-demand learning to shadowing my peers, to time with my mentor, or with my mentee, right? I've been at Cisco for 7 years, so I've been here for a while. I still have a mentor. I have somebody who's been here for longer than I am, who focuses on slightly different things that I do. And I shadow him, right? When he's got interesting calls, I pop in to learn something, because there's always something to learn. And nobody who works here is without a mentor or mentee if they want one. And certifications, right? Certifications are still important. I still work towards multiple certifications at different times, and I'll continue to do so. So really the biggest word in my life is prioritization, right? I'm going to be able to make time for all of these things and to prioritize my customer needs with my own needs from a personal work growth. So about work-life balance, you know, I asked to talk a little bit about work-life balance. So I've got a husband and 2 little boys, 3 and 3 months. So pretty new, right? New young family, and it can be hard at times, right? I mean, it's a pretty busy job. Like I said, I've got, you know, thousands of customers that need things, you know, depending on what day it is. And I live in Wisconsin now, so I'm on Central Time. Most of my customers are on the East Coast, but most of our technical resources at Cisco are on the West Coast. And I've also got some multinational companies who, you know, have headquarters in Europe or Asia, and we're trying to involve them as well too. So it's really about being flexible. And a lot of people say, you know, you've got to really delineate between when you're working and when you're at home with your family. And for me, I found that in this day and age, it's easier for me to really blur those edges, right? I don't know, I grew up in the technology era, right? I don't ever remember not having an email address or access to online. I mean, Facebook and those things and Twitter are all prevalent in my life. So I should use those not only for myself, but for work as well. And working for Cisco lets me do that. So I really, really blur those lines, right? I can take off in the middle of the day to go to my oldest gymnastics class if he wants me to, if I don't have any other calls, right? But I also, you know, after I put the kids to bed, get back in front of my computer and maybe work on a request for information or a request for a proposal that I've been working on, right? So I really, as long as I prioritize and get my work done, it doesn't really matter where or when I'm doing it, right? I mean, I've got the iPhone, I've got my iPad where I can do all of my work, right? So I can sit there and do that when I'm out waiting for a doctor's appointment, right? Those types of things. So for me, I don't try and delineate between work and life. I blur the edges and really use all of the technology that we have access to make sure that I get to spend the most amount of time with my family and get everything that I need to for work.